Hey folks, I'm Aja Hammerly from the Builder Relations team, and I'm here today to talk a bit with one of our GDE experts about AI dev tools. So let's start. Can you introduce yourself and tell us a bit about what you do and how you've been using these products a bit?
Hi, Aja. Thank you. Thank you for having me here. My name is Tomek Porozynski. I'm from Poland, from Bydgoszcz. I work as a staff ML engineer at dissect AI, and I'm also Google Developer Expert for Cloud AI.
Awesome. So I'm sure you've built some amazing things recently. Can you tell me about just one of them that you're really excited about right now?
All right, just one. Let me think. I'm really excited about Google or Gemini text-to-speech
Okay.
APIs. So I created workflow when you can change the text to multi-voice audiobook.
Oh,
And it's pretty neat because there are a couple of things when you think about the application like that. You have to see if the narrator is the first person narrator in the story or the first person narrator in the story. Try to assign the proper voice.
oh
Then
yeah.
you have to choose, try to estimate which voice fit perfectly to that character. Make sure that each character have different voices, and then split the text into chunks, so know which character is saying what, and then connect everything together. And then there is a way to also add some additional noises and extra special effects to the audio, so the end effect is really nice.
Okay, so you got the multi-voice storybook with
Yes.
text to speech, and now you've added special effects to make it even cooler
Yeah.
for kids.
So honestly, the special effects is still on to-do list. You know
Okay,
how it is with those kind of
I know
solutions,
how it is
right?
with those kinds of projects.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about what tools you used to build this, and then also potentially what tech you used to build this?
All right. So very useful Gemini CLI, especially when you combine that with a proper skill. So
Okay.
there's a proper skill for Live API, Gemini Live API, as well as DevX AI or Gemini API, general API development, right? So using those skills, Gemini CLI is awesome of creating like the small proof of concepts. So the way I wanted to create that, I started with small chunks and checked if all the chunks worked correctly. And once I got all the chunks ready, then I connected them together into one bigger solution.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about the architecture. So what kinds of technologies did you bring in? Like, are there agents involved? Are there microservices? How did you kind of build this up? Because it sounds pretty complicated.
All right, yeah, I try to not to complicate that too much because I open source the solution,
Oh,
and
awesome.
I use that on the dev first talks to
Okay.
actually show people how that can be done. And the end product I created after having the proof of concept was moving the solution to Google Colab. So you can
Okay.
actually run each separate cells, separately, understand the code, see like the nodes, what's happening, and try to change that so everyone who get the notebook can play with that and adjust that to their needs. And I think that's a cool way of learning and cool way of touching the text, so you can actually start with something and build on top of it.
Okay, so was the way it's laid out that you have, one piece of code that parses through the story and figures out? Is it multiple calls to Gemini? Is it one call to Gemini, like the Gemini API, and another call to text speech? Tell me a little bit more about how it works.
Okay, so some parts have to go one by one, right? For
Okay.
instance, you have to understand how many characters there are in the story, then to split the text. But once you've got the text split, and you know that this character have 1, 2, 3, or 4 different pieces, right?
Uh-huh.
And the other one has another one. You can send the request at the same time to speed up the process a little bit,
Awesome.
right? So it's a bit of combination. So part of the program has to go in the linear way, and the other part of the program can be streamlined in the multiple calls at the same time.
Okay, so you've got a part of it that has to be done in series, but that last step can be done in parallel.
Exactly.
Oh, that's really, really cool. So you said you built this with Gemini CLI, and you talked a little bit about the agent skills. Can you tell me a little bit about how the agent skills were helpful for you and which ones you found particularly helpful?
Oh, right. The the challenge with building applications that are actually using generative AI models and generative AI SDKs is that those technologies evolving so fast that sometimes the model itself is not aware of up-to-speed or up-to-date information.
Yeah.
That's where the skills come very useful, because the skill can actually give the links to additional resources, so the model knows where to look for the up-to-date information, and you have the guarantee that the model will actually use the best solution or the best approach to solve the problem at hand.
So did you use some skills for the Gemini APIs so that you could make sure you had the up-to-date API interfaces and the model names and stuff?
Yes, exactly. Yes, for
Okay.
Gemini APIs, and also for Gemini Live API as well, because I tried to also incorporate the live session as well as a kind of proof of concept while doing the experimental phase. But at the end, I decided that Gemini text-to-speech is good enough for that particular solution.
Awesome. Okay, so I've built some stuff with AI. You've built some stuff with AI. I don't know what your experience has been like. Doesn't always go exactly the way I planned. I always run into something. So can you tell us a little bit about maybe something you learned or something that was a little more challenging and how you worked through that?
Yeah, so the thing with working with generative AI is that not everything works out of the box always, right?
Amazing.
So sometimes you create your perfect prompt, send it, and the solution is not necessarily perfect at the first time. But that's good, right? You have to just go through it, try again, maybe ask model or ask AI agent to fix it, try to run it, depending on the AI tool you're using. Like
Okay.
for instance, if you use anti-gravity, the anti-gravity can actually spin up the Chrome browser and actually try to click through the solution if your solution have like the graphical interface component of that, which speed up the kind of troubleshooting process a lot, or can be almost fully automated, right? So I guess my advice would be not to give up when the first version is not perfect, right? Just keep working on that a bit more.
Okay, so you talked about an idea there that I think is really cool that I don't think a lot of folks realize, that you can actually ask the model to help you improve the code and ask the model to help you improve your prompts. Do you do that?
Yeah, definitely. So one thing that I think is sometimes overlooked is the plan phase or the brainstorming phase. So before even starting writing any type of code, regardless if I'm writing the code or the AI agent is writing the code, I like to have fairly long conversation about my idea, the tech stack, and then ask it to do the research if maybe my idea is not perfect, or try to optimize it. And even when the program or the application creating is done and something is not perfect, you can still change it, right? Like sometimes it takes a bit longer, but it's better to invest a bit more time and create something better than have something partially working, partially not.
Yeah, I do the same thing. I spend a lot of time at the plan phase, having a conversation with the agent, thinking through, like talking through different ideas, thinking through different ideas myself, getting the feedback, asking if the agent thinks that my idea was any good before I start writing any code, because I want to make sure that the idea is sound before I start with that coding phase. That's really, really smart. So one of the things that I keep getting asked, so I'm going to ask you, is how do you get started? Where do you start with this stuff? There's agent skills, there's MCPs, there's like a million AI dev tools.
Sure.
There's so many models. Each of the models has a bunch of different features and different APIs. Where do you get started if you have a cool idea and you want to turn it into an app, and now you're trying to navigate this giant, it's just so much. So
Right.
how would you help folks get started?
That's true. The problem is that it's very easy nowadays to be in the feeling of fear of missing out, because every day you open your social media and you see this new solution, this new approach, etc., etc. And I think you just have to leave that behind. Just actually slow down, and start small. If you've got the idea and you've got already some coding skills, I think the good idea is to give a try with anti-gravity as an IDE. If you like to work with IDE, anti-gravity is a perfect place to start. If you don't have coding skills, I think the great idea is to check Google AI Studio.
I love AI Studio.
Yeah, with Google AI Studio, you can just create a simple prompt, go for the build option, and the solution will be validated for you, deployed for you, so you can actually play around and see how good that is. And again, you can talk with your AI agent and ask to change that. Even take the snapshot of your application, like the screenshot of the application, select what you want to change, and it will actually update that. And it takes a couple of minutes. It's really, really impressive and really simple. I mean, really simple. And once you are ready, you can even integrate that with Firebase out, so you don't need to worry about authentication. And Firestore for the backend information, so if you want to have stateful application, it's super simple to do. And once you're happy with your solution and you want to share that with the world, with a single button you can deploy that on Cloud Run.
Yeah.
And with Cloud Run, with, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 additional clicks, you can assign your custom domain, and suddenly you've got like almost production-ready application. It's pretty neat.
You've gone from an idea to something that's like actually running in the cloud really, really quickly.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you so much for sharing your insights and your ideas and telling us about your project. It's an open source, so hopefully people can find it on GitHub.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes, definitely.
So thank you so much. I really, really was glad we got to have a chance to talk today.
Sure. Thank you for having me.